All right, ladies and gents, welcome to this much awaited video. I'm going to interview the one and only Nicole, or Nicky Ortega. She prefers Nicky. I like Nicole. This is the wifey, and she's also wearing a Better MS sweater. This was not planned. How beautiful. So the real purpose of this video was to just ask her a lot of questions related to our relationship. Obviously, I work a lot. I'm an entrepreneur, agency owner, and it's, I think, an interesting dynamic to be in a relationship with somebody that works a lot. But why don't you start by giving an intro into who you are, what you do, where you're from, before we get into relationship questions?
Well, I'm Nikki. Who I am, I'm just an energy in motion. I am from Panama City, Panama. And what was the other question?
What you do?
What do? I help people free themselves from suffering, and I teach about the nature of consciousness.
It's the complete opposite of me. Great. So what is our relationship like?
That's so broad.
I want to hear you define it from a high level.
Okay, our relationship is an alignment of two energies that balance themselves out as opposites. If you hear about the chakra centers, we all have 7 centers of energies, and Taylor has such a high ability of the solar plexus energy, which is creation, confidence, willpower, building, etc. And I have such a flow of energy of the crown chakra, which is just being, flow, channeling God's wisdom. God is infinite intelligence for you guys. That I don't want to take it to be religious. It's just consciousness. So he balances out the centers or the chakras that I don't wish to flow the most with. So it's just about alignment and just preferences.
Mm-hmm. So you're the complete opposite of me.
That's a translation, yeah.
But we are similar in certain ways. What makes us similar, and why have we been able to have a great relationship even though we're complete opposites, in the sense that I'm attracted to business and working on business all day, and you're attracted to what you just talked about, consciousness?
What made it so work?
Yeah, why are we able to have a great relationship even though we're complete opposites?
Alignment, and we're both rooted in our mission. We both have a calling, and I'm pursuing my calling, he's pursuing his. So I will say that the basis of any relationship is alignment. If he's aligned with his mission, which is his highest excitement, and I'm aligned with what I love to do, and we complement each other in that sense, then the relationship flourishes.
And what about, so I've talked to a few people who are like, oh, like who are like me, agency owners, and they say that they are dating a girl, and they feel like she's not really sure what she wants to do, and she's kind of figuring out her path.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could have alignment if you're aligned with the fact that you're figuring out your path. But this particular person told me, like, I don't think there's alignment between us because she's not really sure where she wants to be or go. And how do you deal with that if you're someone who's in a relationship and you're aligned, but the other person doesn't really have the mission or the vision or the alignment for what they want to do in their life?
It's still aligned. If the person is in the relationship with you, it's because it's serving its purpose. Maybe the girl is waking herself up into what she feels passionate about. As long as it's in alignment, and the guy is like, I wish to give the space and support for her to discover herself out, and that's the alignment, then it's beautiful. The friction would happen if then she wants to spend more time with the guy or take the guy out of the mission because she doesn't want to pursue her path. So the answer is kind of the first question. As long as she's willing to figure herself out and see where she wants to go, then it's like they will grow together. Kind of like what happened to us. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say we've shifted a lot, but I've always been rooted in like business, and you've shifted a lot. So talk about you in the beginning and then you now, because I think it's been 3 or 4 years, and how you've shifted into full alignment.
First, I may say that it's because we both had that desire for personal growth,
Right.
always reaching the next level of consciousness of life, of business, of whatever. It's the same thing, it's just a higher state of being. So how did we shifted the relationship?
I guess so. I guess I was more so saying that like, yeah, yeah, how have we shifted the relationship from the beginning stages where um it was very much different in the sense that like I think there was a lot of friction with how much I worked. Still is a little bit of friction now, but not a lot, nowhere near as much as it was in the beginning. To I feel like it's the best it's ever been now, but there was so much friction for so long in terms of I work this much, and it was always a big thing. Like with you was like time and quality time. So how have we shifted, or you shifted, in the sense that this is no longer like a major point of friction where it's an argument almost every other day about time? Like what occurred to where you know aren't necessarily
It's the answers that come to me are so high level. So let me see if I can put it into more personal words. What I see is that that was a catalyst. Like if the guy is in a relationship with the girl, like that version of myself, you were being a catalyst to me. You were a reflection of what I need to grow myself on. I had an imbalance of maybe my masculine energy, my alignment, my passion, my vision, my community. What do I want to do in this life? So you were mirroring back to me that misalignment. That was the friction. So it was perfect. Like
yeah.
relationships are just mirrors. You were mirroring back to me what I needed to work on, and I was mirroring back to you what you had to work on, which is opening the heart, and you have. So beautiful. So it was just perfect. It's just about the intention, the relationship, even in the friction, why we stayed together. And universe always brought us together because we had that alignment that we were committed to growth, business growth, spiritual growth. So it was working out. The moment the friction will only end the relationship and not shift it if there's not an alignment of vision. If one of the person wants to grow and the other one wants to stay stuck. But you always push me to be better, as I also push you to be better. And then we both shifted, and the relationship keeps aligning and growing because we're different people every day.
So I feel like what you just said is like it's important that if you're in a relationship with someone, that both people in that relationship are aligned with each other's like growth rate, more or less, right? Like how driven each person in the relationship is to grow. Because if one person is not really driven to improve or self-improve, because I feel like you and I are pretty much are really aligned in that sense of like personal development and constantly trying to become a better version of self. And what if like I'm in a relationship with someone, or someone's in a relationship with another person, and like you said, there's an imbalance in like the growth or personal growth? Is it possible to still maintain a great relationship, or do both people need to be at a similar level in terms of growth in order to stay together for a long time? Because if one person's always growing, the other person's not, possibly, most likely, that person who's constantly growing is one day gonna like look at the other person and be like, and then maybe it won't work out. So do you think similar growth rates from each person is necessary,
No,
or no?
no, I don't see it that way. I see that we're always shifting into different archetypes. So if you are growing in your business, in your personal life, in finances, and that version of myself was stuck somewhere, the relationship served a purpose. You were serving a different archetype, and I was being a different version for you. And if that still serves the joy, preferences, alignment, there's so many layers to that. There's also the sexual preferences, the living preferences, the lifestyle preferences, the heart, like how much love do you have for the person? Sometimes you feel a heart connection that comes from soul level. Sometimes you're attracted to the mental body, sometimes to the energetic body. So there are many nuances and subtleties in that question.
So I guess let me make it super clear. What is like the most central like like point or mental model or thing that people, both parties of the in the relationship, should understand to be able to maintain a great relationship? Because I feel like you talked about like being able to see the reflections of the other person, and always realize that any argument is like a form of growth and something that you need to work on within yourself. So yeah, what is that like one thing that people, like a belief or mental model that people should have that will ideally allow them to constantly maintain and evolve a relationship to being a really high conscious, great relationship?
Where you're coming from, alignment of intention. What's your intention? If we both have the same intention, that will work. I would say, to put it in more simple terms, communication, clear communication, talking with the person and be like, this is what I wish to do with my life. What are your goals? What are your intentions? What's your state of being? And then align to something that adds up into union, into harmony. Okay, your vision aligns with my vision. The way you want to live your everyday life aligns with the way I want to live my everyday life. So it's alignment. I'm just going into deep layers of alignment, but both people need to have a similar harmony that's going to co-create something aligned with both of the intentions.
So a clear communication of alignment. And obviously I'm assuming like constant recalibration of alignment, because everybody's always evolving, right?
That's it. That's what I mean with clear communication. Like every time we have a shift or I feel I'm a different person and I change my preferences, communicate clearly and be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for now. This is what I want out of my life. This is what I want out of that relationship. And just talking. Yeah. It's a constant shifting and mirroring, and any trigger is just a reflection for something inside of us for growth.
It's kind of like when we sign clients, the most important thing when we sign a client, which would be similar to like getting into a relationship with a new partner, or like you're beginning to date, but like you're about to move in. All right. Let's say that moving in together is like our agency has officially signed the client. Prior to move in, there should have been many conversations about expectations, right? Of like kind of what it's going to be like, what I really like, how I'm like talk about your opinion on getting into a relationship. Should you be setting expectations very clearly, or like obviously it's not going to be something where we're just like sitting down together and I'm like this, and I'm like listing it out. It probably happens naturally through going on dates or whatever. But talk about expectations and if you think that's important and how you think about it.
Well, I feel it may be more relevant to share about how is our relationship in terms of agreement, if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
Yes, beautiful. So for us, it's like I know that Taylor likes to work from 9 to 9. So I'm clear with that. He works from 9 to 9. And for some time, an aspect of myself was in resistance of that. But that was because I needed to find out my own thing. I needed to work on myself. I needed to create something that brought me joy. When I found that, then it was easy for me to accept that truth. And then I can choose, do I want to be with a person that works that much? Or do I want to change my reality and be with another person? As long as there's still alignment, then the relationship can flow. So I would say, yes, it's beautiful to have those clear boundaries. That's one of the boundaries that you have with your time and your business. So if I choose to accept that, because there's still a soul connection, because I feel intense amount of love, there is also a balancing of the chakras and energy centers. Your lifestyle and your accomplishments and all of that, you have been aligned with mental models that I have. So it's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So got it. And within our relationship, I mean, that expectation was set pretty much from the beginning, that I work from this time to this time, Monday through Saturday. Has it stayed since we've got together?
What?
Has that continued to stay true since we've gotten together? Like, do I still work that much?
Yes, you still work that much.
Do you think I think I'm more chill now about stopping a little bit early than I was the first year or two.
It's always a flow. Like you see it in a linear way. What I wanted to add, what I said by accomplishments and mental models is that the fact that Taylor has been able to be so successful, like you, Taylor, um, it gives me the space for me to do my own thing. So my alignment in this relationship is part of it. Taylor supports me emotionally, financially. He offers me a space for me to have freedom to do my what I love, my thing. And I work through donations, so I don't have to worry about where money's coming from. He offers me unconditional love. He offers me a family. He offers me archetypes of the parent, of the lover, of everything. So it's like it's whatever the person's offering me aligns with my vision because I accept the 9 to 9 because you have all of these beautiful qualities that align with what I want to do with my life, which is just allowing more enlightenment, more clarity, and helping people free themselves from suffering. I don't have to worry about where the money is going to come from, how I'm going to make this happen, etc. So the reason I'm opening up with that subject is because that's the alignment. It's not about you working 9 to 9 and that's it is. What about you as a person can offer the other person? So the other person can also offer you something that's going to complete you. He offers me that solar plexus, stability, security, etc., masculine energy. And I can be more in my mission without having to worry about the 3D world of structure, etc. Hopefully that made sense.
The pros outweigh the cons.
Yes, exactly.
That was great. And we did have a lot of like, I think for me, like just thoughts on the first 2-3 years when you were kind of like before you got kind of into like full alignment with what you're doing and before you were like fully okay with like me working this much because there was like obviously there was points of friction, but for me I always thought like 97% uptime, like my analytical way to think of our relationship and whether or not the friction that occurred during like the moments where there was like, you can't work this much, like it's too much or whatever. I don't know if I'm able in a relationship. For me, I always thought, okay, well, I'll deal with this friction but I'm going to stand true to like my work schedule, but I'm going to deal with the friction. I don't want to end this relationship because I really love you. And I feel like 98% uptime, like the relationship is 98% of the time really great. And I just can't get lost in like the 2% or the 5%. So I don't know. For someone that's analytical, that's watching this video, which is probably everybody that runs an agency.
Yes, sorry guys, my answers are all about consciousness.
Yeah.
Like this is meant to be.
No, it's good though. It's kind of like the polar opposites. But so if someone's like, if it's like a 40% or 50% uptime, where like half the time in the relationship, the other partner is like, let's say hypothetically, half the time in the relationship, you were like, there was lots of friction with how much I was working. Obviously, that wouldn't be sustainable, right? Like if someone's in a relationship and half of the time is spent like the other person's like nagging on them, like this is crazy, blah, 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 blah. Probably it's not going to work because there's so far off from alignment. But with us, I felt like it was so close. And I knew one day, like if I was patient enough and just held like really firm that this is how much I want to work, I knew that like one day it was going to work out and it would be okay because it was already like so close. It'd be like 8 p.m. and then there'd be like a little bit of friction. I was like, shit, we're like an hour away. So it wasn't like 4 p.m. and you were like, we were arguing year 1, year 2. It was like 8 p.m. and I was like, damn, we're so close. So, if someone's like 4 p.m. or like 3 p.m. and there's lots of issues, probably there's so much misalignment that maybe it's not best to be in that relationship for the person who cares really deeply about working a lot, right? Thoughts?
I like to answer things with stories. Like the moment we were in that on and off of the relationship because we weren't really present. You were doing your thing, I was doing my thing. So we shifted. Relationships are just agreements and alignment. So in that moment, it's not that our relationship ended. It's just we changed our alignment. We were just friends that were living together and working beside each other. So that was the friction. We aligned into that. It was like, well, now the relationship has shifted into a friendship, and we were roommates into that time. So it's not about, for you, you could see it as like, okay, I was being patient. But in my point of view, it was like, we love each other so much that we're always in each other's life. There's a soul connection. We're a family. So are we sometimes are lovers, sometimes we're the father and the child, the mother and the child, sometimes we are friends, sometimes we're brothers, sometimes we're, it's like we shift the energy. So it's not, for me, it's not seeing it from the linear point of view like most business owners will see it right now. It's to open the perspective into your partner. It's whatever you want them to be. It's, we're just energy flowing, so it just shifts, it changes. So in your point of view, you were projecting a version of me that was going to be patient and allowing of your work. So whatever I chose to be in that moment was, okay, now we're roomies, we're friends. And then we shifted back into being lovers. So it always just changes. Beautiful. It's just a dance of consciousness.
Got it. What about the honeymoon phase that a lot of people talk about? And obviously our relationship, and just the talk about like how you feel like the love shifted, during the honeymoon phase, coming out of the honeymoon phase. How long was the honeymoon phase, and how has it changed? Or what is your opinion on it? Maybe you think the honeymoon phase never ended, or it was just all flowing. But for people who don't know what the honeymoon phase is, it's kind of maybe you explain it, and then, yeah.
Well, like for us, it was long. It was like the first 2 years. We were still in that flow.
2 years?
Yeah, for me, it was 2 years. How I see it. The first 2 years was like, all the rainbows and butterflies. And then it's just a deeper love. It's a love for your soul. And because I have gotten so close into my alignment with my own frequency and God, you're just an extension of that frequency of consciousness. So now what I see in us is just a dance. Again, go back to the dance of energies. It's the honeymoon phase never ends. When there's friction, it's just triggers for us to learn the lessons we need to learn and then go back into alignment. And then when there's love moments, it can be of extreme love from the heart. It can be moments of sexual energy transfers. It can be, that's a honeymoon phase. Every instant we're creating our relationship. I feel like the most important thing for people to believe now is that don't think that the person you're living with is the same person you started living with 2 years ago, or sometimes in the same day. I go to the kitchen and I go out to the other room into the office, and I have shifted like 3 beliefs, and it seems that 3 lifetimes has passed, and then you need to meet me again, and I meet you again, and we shift into something different. But the core of everything is that alignment. What you're doing with your life aligns with what I'm doing with my life. And as long as we're both fulfilling our callings, the only way our relationship can stay longer is that both people are fulfilling their callings. If the calling of the girl is just to be a mom and to clean the house and to cook, that's beautiful. That's her calling. If her calling is to be an entrepreneur, she builds her business. If her calling is to go shopping every day, she goes shopping. If her calling, like me, is to always be in this state of presence and clarity, that's it. It's just about alignment. And of course, the practical stuff, the housing situation, etc. That's something that you're so good at: structure and building and organizing. And I don't have to think about that. So, alignment.
And I feel like it's hard for people in a relationship. It's kind of like, I feel like it's hard to kind of let go of the past ideas of your perception of the person that you have, and see them as this like new being, because you've lived with them, you've been so close to them, and you know what their past version of self is like. So how can people, look at their partner and truly have the open mind and enough to like see how much they have changed? Because I know even for me, it took me a while to like, there was moments where there was moments where there's major shifts in the way I looked at you. And I felt like it took months to like have that major shift. And so how can people be, more open-minded to like be able to see the new version of self and the upgrades in their partner?
Course in Miracles.
Yeah, Course in Miracles. Talk about that.
Yeah, Course in Miracles, shifts in perception. your partner is just an idea in your mind. Taylor is just a concept in my mind. If I want to see Taylor with the eyes of the honeymoon every instant, and he wants to see me with the eyes of the honeymoon every instant, we can create an awesome honeymoon. Like the moment we get into my boyfriend, my wife, or my, he's not mine. I'm not his. Every moment we choose to be together and to share. So how to shift the perception that you are living with your wife for 2 years and she has changed so much, but you still choose to place, oh, she did this to me last month, or she's the person that I met. And why? Get rid of the story. Why am I believing that I'm living with this person? Like, what am I judging of this experience? Who is this person in my mind? Surprise yourself. You're living with a person that every moment can be a different being. It's like if you're like want to get new partners, you can do that with your same partner. It's like your partner can be a different energy every day. So it's just about that shift in perception. Forget about the old stories of what that person was. It's just a memory. Every moment she's a different person or he's a different person. So yeah, it's easier said. Do a course in miracles or book a session with me. I'll help you with it.
Free advertising.
Yeah.
A Course in Miracles is a book. Yeah, ACIM. Highly recommend Googling it and getting it and going through the 365 workbooks. It's basically like a daily lesson.
Yeah.
It's really good. You talked a little bit about points of friction and how to see points of friction in the relationship between the two partners as moments of growth. I feel like very few people actually have that perception, and it's a really great thing to understand. So can you elaborate on what you mean by, if you get in an argument, like, can you walk through a scenario and explain the mindset that you should have in when there's friction or arguments occurring in the relationship?
Yes. Acceptance. Your partner is just your mirror. It's a divine assignment. Or for business owners, it's an assignment, a business task. So it's offering you an opportunity for healing an aspect of yourself or something inside of you. A trigger or an argument is just your partner is mirroring back to you something that's not in alignment. So just go through the sensation. Don't project onto your partner. Let your partner know there's something that's this situation move within me. If you're not able to express that, just walk away from the situation, try to neutralize your sensations. Be grateful that your partner is offering you an opportunity to see something deeper within yourself, because sometimes it can also help you with business. If your partner is triggering something in you and it was an unconscious guilt or something you have to forgive of your mom or your dad, that belief may be blocking you from making your next 100K a month, because that's a belief that is going to be manifested in every area of your life. So your partner is offering you an opportunity to improve your business, if you want to see it that way, for business owners. It's wonderful. Acceptance of that, and then communication. When you're in a space of neutrality, go back to your partner and say, you did this. Well, actually, that would be projection. I feel moved by this. This situation that just happened made me feel unseen or unworthy or etc. And then walk through that. I realize that's an opportunity for my healing. So thank you for showing me that, instead of going into the blame. Yeah.
So to elaborate on what you just said there in the last 20 seconds,
yeah.
We've started doing this in the last couple of months or month, and I feel like it's actually made a significant impact in our abilities, yours and mine, abilities to like neutralize less preferable energies in a heated situation where a trigger occurs. And so just to reiterate what you said, because I think it's really important, we're talking, someone says something, I say something, or you say something, I get triggered. Instead of the common route, which I think I did for many years, and the majority of humanity does, instead of like me getting triggered and reacting like an animal and being like, hey, you said this, you did this. Yeah. The better way for me to communicate is to just say, I feel, unseen, or I feel neglected, and not say you ever in the situation, right? Like, really important not to even mention you in the situation. And correct me if I'm wrong, the reason for that is, and the reason why that is actually the best way to do it, is because if you said something, it triggered something in me, it's not what you said, it was the belief that I held,
Yeah.
right? That caused this trigger of less preferable emotions to arise in my body. It's
Yes.
not like you that caused it. It was actually me that caused it because of my distortion in my
Mhm.
like lens of how I look at life and how I believe things, right?
Yes, exactly. That's it.
Yeah. And how can people like slow
Well,
down in those heated moments and be
it
able to?
actually there's something that came up. We can say you in the context of truth. Like if you threw a glass of water in the floor,
Oh
I
yeah.
I won't say like I feel you threw a glass of water. It's like okay, you threw a glass of water in the floor. I feel that I'm in a space of disaster right now. Like I feel that yeah, I'm not clean because there's a water in the floor. In those cases, what's true, what's like real or logical, we can say you. But the main teaching would be not to go into blame or projection, just to own, take responsibility of
Mm-hmm.
your own emotions. And if the person gets heated, which I think was your second question, just to neutralize the energy. If the person cannot neutralize the energy in that moment, it would be best to get out of the room and try to neutralize the energy and ask what I must be believing about myself or her that is causing me to have this reaction, and be
Mm-hmm.
with the sensation. Don't resist it. Allow the sensation to pass. Many times when that had happened with us, I'm like, okay, let's just go to the other room. And if in that moment you cannot control the energy and it just was channeled in the moment, it is what it is. You can take your space, go into self-inquiry, and then you can apologize and take responsibility. As long as we identify the belief after the situation and we recalibrate the relationship, will always shift. I feel relationships end when the two people don't want to take responsibility. So that
Right.
goes back to growth.
Yeah.
We have growth mindset. So as long as there's enough love, it's the first thing. Like I love you with all my heart. Oh. uh, and then alignment of living situation, alignment
Mm-hmm.
of purpose,
Right.
and yeah, taking responsibility for the emotions.
Beautiful. I feel like we could do a whole separate video specifically on triggers and
Yeah.
like seeing
Perception.
that perception and blame and venting and like how to neutralize. Mm. How can someone, because for me I think it makes really logical sense that like no one can cause me to be angry, it's me always causing myself, because if someone says I'm an idiot and I get angry, well, there's a part of me that believes that that could be true, or there's an insecurity within me that is like then activated. But how can someone who truly believes in cause and effect from the, in my opinion, the distorted lens of like that person shouted at me and so now I'm angry because they did that, like, is there any other things that we didn't talk about that you think would convince that person that yes, no, you're actually just angry because you have a belief and you cause yourself to be that? Because I feel like not a lot of people have that mindset. So is there anything else that would help that person adopt that mindset that we haven't talked about?
Just radical responsibility, inner
Mm,
honesty.
right.
Yes. Knowing that you're placing that person there for your own growth. May it be your lover, your partner, your clients, your business partner, everybody in your reality, you have placed there as an opportunity for growth. So it's taking responsibility. Anything that's happening, less preferable or of joy in your life, it's of your own choosing and cause. So blaming someone or playing the victim is just gonna get you the stay you stuck in the same level. Are you gonna go for growth in business, relationships, life, love, monies, whatever inspires you, enlightenment, state of being, or are you gonna decide to stay contracted? So as long as you have the growth mindset, you're willing to take responsibility because you know it's going to improve also your business.
Yeah, so I think everything stems back to the growth mindset, which is why it was so important for me that anybody I was in a relationship had it, because I just felt like it was the foundational source of any good thing in life. Like it was just like there's one thing that I need someone to have, like to be living with them. It has to be this. Um, how can someone adopt a growth mindset? For me, I felt like it came really naturally, even since I was maybe not like a kid, but definitely post graduation of high school, even like before high school. What about people that don't have a growth mindset? Like, what's the opposite of a growth mindset, and how can you convert from the opposite to a growth mindset?
Victim consciousness, feeling like a
Uh,
victim would be not growth mindset. And the
mhm,
belief I think would be relevant for these viewers that your relationship, because it's about relationships. If you have a belief that business is all there is and it's not important to take care of your relationship, so you just focus on business growth, but you don't look at your personal life, then there's an imbalance. And it needs to be holistic for you to feel in harmony if you want harmony. If not, it would be through suffering. You get tired of suffering. It's like, oh, I'm making all this money, I'm successful in business, but oh, why am my personal relationship sucking? Or why I cannot be in harmony with my wife or my husband?
mm,
Pain. Only like the highest motivation for anything is pain or pleasure. You want pleasure, you want to avoid pain. But if you transcend both, you're at peace. And that's
mhm.
it. Peace.
Yeah, I like that. I do think probably a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs in general, don't have great relationships because they're not willing to. I think it's weird though because most entrepreneurs do have a growth mindset, but and again, this is such a generalized statement. Like I don't know enough people to really say that this is true, but I think they do struggle with it because they care a lot more about their business and maybe don't see the ROI and being in a relationship with someone. Mm, but I feel like it's a long term thing because I feel like I saw the ROI immediately, but maybe everybody's different. Maybe I got really lucky being with you. I don't know. Yeah.
I would say
Uh,
that's an imbalance whenever a person's just too focused in business and it's not wanting to place energy in relationships, that would be an imbalance. Too much masculine energy and a lack of feminine energy. So that's what we have done in our relationship. I was overly feminine at some point and you were overly masculine, and then there was clashing. And now I have balance and I'm balancing more of my masculine energy, and you are balancing more of your feminine, which is opening your heart. So as long as there is no identification with overly masculine or overly feminine, there is harmony. So that's just healing work
right.
required. A person, when you said most entrepreneurs, probably you're referring to a past version of self. In that sense, it's just a balance of feminine energies. I was providing that feminine energy in that case,
Mm.
and now we're both in the middle, just shape shifting.
For anybody who doesn't really hasn't really heard of the feminine and masculine energies, they can probably learn more about that on your YouTube channel.
Yes,
What's your YouTube channel name? Nicky Ortega?
yes, make sure it's again, just like that.
Great. Yeah, you said feminine, masculine. I remember when I had never heard that before, and I was kind of like, so. Couple other questions I had actually that I wanted to ask. The times when our relation almost ended slash did end, which actually wasn't too long ago. What was occurring when we decided to um, split, and how did that split actually happen? And then why did we get back together? And explain kind of the whole process.
Yeah. First, we never ended the relationship. We just
Yeah.
we just changed agreements. We always
Mhm.
chose to be family. You were always gonna be in my life. So
Mhm.
it just I chose that I wanted to travel, and we end up the sexual agreement, but we're still gonna be friends. What happened? A karmic propensity just karma is just belief in action. So I still hold beliefs of extreme affection or love or maybe a soul connection. And I chose to come back. I don't feel there's a reason. It just naturally happened. Like I went by myself probably for like a month, and then I felt a shift and I decided that I wanted to be back. And when I came back, we just aligned again. You were a different person. I was a different person, and it worked out. So I feel it was because we let go. In that moment, it wasn't working. In that consciousness, that person that I was in that moment wasn't open to shift with you into a new level of a sexual agreement, a lover agreement, living in person agreement. It was just like, okay, let's be friends. But when I left, I shifted. I learned my lessons. I upgraded. And when I came back, we just met again. It's what I was talking in the beginning. It's like every time you change from a room to another, you can be a new person. So when we met, it just flowed and it just became better.
There was also, though, a lot of chaos shortly after you had come back, and it almost ended again. Remember that? Isn't that what happened? And then you had gone through another shift where you got back into ACIM and some other things. And I feel like that has really allowed for a major shift into harmony. Obviously,
Well, that's quite different, I guess, for someone listening right now. But just because I'm in this process of allowing more of present state of being, I was going through a process called the dark night of the soul. So all the traumas I wasn't healing, all the deep unconscious belief that I had carried for lifetimes or etc. came up. And in that moment of the relationship, I was just processing that. So that created that chaos. When I released those beliefs through ACIM, through coming back to harmony, to allowing the energy to run out, then we shifted again. So out of your own beliefs, karmic propensity, you chose to stay with me during that chaos. And then we shifted into a relationship again. So it's all comes back to the same thing, alignment. It's just alignment.
Yeah, no, that was the context I wanted to get at, and you just explained it.
Yeah.
The dark night of the soul.
Yes.
Which can be a very turbulent thing for the person who's not going through it in the relationship to experience. And
I'm so grateful.
No, it's okay. It was totally fine. But I think it was beautiful, and I want to touch on this point. And if you have thoughts to elaborate, that'd be cool. Like, you're going through this dark night of the soul. It's really intense. There's like a lot of friction because of all this stuff that's coming up that you're kind of releasing or transmuting,
integrating.
Right. And now we're kind of getting into like spiritual stuff, but like a lot of stuff coming up, and it's causing all sorts of chaos in the relation. But it wasn't like we're breaking up. This is it. Like, it's over. And you kind of explained it. And I want to reiterate this because you said it really quickly, and I don't know if anybody really would have caught it. It was very much like a pretty high conscious conversation in which it was like, okay, there's clearly a lot of like when there was all this chaos and we were like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, we sat down, it was pretty neutral. It was pretty like good energies. And I think we were both like, hey, this clearly isn't working. There's a lot of friction going on. And I still want to be friends with you. Like, you're my best friend. I consider you my best friend. We can't live together though, because like this is chaos. And I didn't want to be having like any sexual relation once we had shifted from living together partners relationship to best friends, because best friends don't like live together. And I thought that was like the healthiest thing. And you also, I felt like, kind of agreed with that. And it was really high conscious. Like, you went to you left Panama for some time. I was also, just to come back and rewind, I was happy to support you like financially until you kind of got your stuff figured out to where you could live a really like, ideal lifestyle as you preferred. So I felt like it was really high conscious. Did you feel like that process of like shifting was high conscious? because I've been through breakups that were not like that at all. And it was really like, one
Yes.
person like leaves the room and I'm never going to talk to you again. Like the other person's like, I'm going to kill myself. Like that. I've been through that. And that's like, holy shit, that's like too intense. Wasn't like that.
Yes. Go back to there was never a breakup. It was just a shift. So you
Right.
chose to still be my guardian angel. You've been such a blessing in my life. I see you like that too. So you were still willing to support me emotionally, financially, as brothers, as family. So it's just shift. In that moment, we shift to family. And when we came back, well, I came back, then we shifted again into
Mm-hmm.
lovers. And I feel that's so important because out of your own beliefs, out of your own state of consciousness, which is really integrate. Like you're so still. Even when I'm going through my waves, your stillness, like you are able to hold all that space and you were able to be like a rock. I won't move. I'm here. I'm willing to be here for you. Beautiful. And then it's just like basically we let go of each other. Back again to my past answer. We let go of each other. And if it was meant to be, I came back and I could have chosen to just stay in my pad and go along. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Yeah.
happens. Flow.
So lovers to family, basically. Yes. And I think that is like the true sign of I'm in the right relationship. And this is amazing when you feel like even if you weren't going to live with the person or be lovers, you would still want to be like best friends with them and be family.
It's unconditional love. Hey.
Something like that. Um, so when that occurred and you had left Panama for some weeks, and then you really got to experience the utmost peak of the dark night of the soul, possibly, and you had many realizations. Obviously, we were still family, and so we talked every day. And you came to these realizations, which was great. And then we ended up coming back into being lovers, and the dark night of the soul period had ended for you. And I felt like you kind of evolved in like a tremendous leap, and it's been like the best it's ever been since. um I guess takeaways for people who are watching is like, how do you be a rock so that you don't get so emotionally wrapped up into your partner's dark night of the soul? Because I think it's, even for me, it was difficult to see that this is just a dark night of the soul transmutation process that you're going through, that like you're leveling up. Like there was moments where I was like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But then there was other moments where like, oh no, this is fine, she's just going through her process, and if we need to like transition from lovers to family, it's okay. There was moments where it was difficult to like be a rock, but overall I think it was done well. But yeah, how can the person who's not going through the dark night of the soul, that's just experiencing it, be there and try to be a rock and hold space and be calm and neutral and be okay with the transition to family, and not have like the fear of loneliness or the fear of this, or like all the insecurities that can create not being a rock and being an animal? How can you be a rock?
But you would be assuming that the person wants the same thing that you wanted. It depends on what the person wanted. In our case, you still love me, you still want me in your life. You
True.
you chose to hold space for all of that and to still be here for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that made me increase my love for you exponentially. And also I'm not the same person that I was in that moment. So, and you weren't. So if the person is truly in love, not in love, but it's not like a personal concept. If there's a divine love, we had unconditional love in the relationship, then both people shift. And we would have to define the concept of rock. It's just like kind of like a joke. A rock is just, hey, I'm willing to hold space for the feminine in my masculine. And sometimes I can become the rock and I'm willing to hold space for whatever comes up for you. So it's just like a constant shifting.
Right. Yeah, and I guess I agree. It's because both parties have to be in alignment, and to be a rock, you really have to love the person and want to actually be there. And so I guess it would be different if the person didn't want to be. Mm. I feel like patience is super important, but like for example, how do you know the fine line between I'm going to be patient and like get through whatever friction or argument or turbulent period in a relationship. I'm going to be patient and work on myself and get through this versus this is clearly not working. I don't think I can be with this person. How do you actually tell if you should end the relationship or if you should continue being in that relationship, especially when you have a growth mindset and you look at every trigger as your own internal thing? But how do you know when it's truly not meant to be and like you shouldn't be in this relationship? Is it just like a heart feeling thing? Is there a rational way to objectively look at it? Like
Goes back to alignment. If the relationship cannot align into a different archetype, then it ends. Okay, it's like, okay, it's not functioning living together. Okay, so let's move apart. Let's take some space. Okay, if that doesn't work, okay, let's shift. You want to be best friends? Let's be best friends. You want to, it's like just
iteration.
Clear communication. If there's too much friction and you can speak and you don't have that throat chakra opening and you cannot communicate clearly, then the relationship will end out of a catalyst for you to heal something in you. That's not our case, but just putting into context to someone that's not able to communicate clearly, then it's a catalyst for the person to grow, because what you don't heal in that relationship is going to be manifested in the next one. So it's just an opportunity for both parties to level up and heal. Yeah.
So iteration in the business world would be the term, right? Constantly iterating.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this isn't working. Let's try this. Let's try that. And once you more or less have tried most things, if you've taken space and done all this and it doesn't work, well, yeah, not meant to be. And maybe it is in the future as both people shift. Yeah, I feel like just keeping an open mind is so important and not being afraid of losing the person. I feel like having the, I don't know, not self security, but just like the self confidence to know that even if this doesn't work out, it'll be totally fine. To be able to stay calm in a relationship in those dark periods or dark nights of the soul,
Yes, I'll translate that as you are so rooted and secure within yourself that you're able to be like, go back to letting go. If she has to go, I let her go. If she comes back, she comes back. But that doesn't change my own perfection. You are whole and complete without me. I'm whole and complete without you. We choose to share space together because it aligns, because it increases our joy, because it benefits both of us. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're whole and complete by ourselves, then we choose to let go without any resistance. And that's it. And then if it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be.
So, pro tip, find a partner who's whole and complete. Right? Just go straight to the top. Whole and complete. Right? Perfect childhood, no distortions in the lens. They just got it all together. And they can deal with all your shit. Right?
Funny you are. No, everybody.
That's ideal.
It's ideal, but everybody's whole and complete. Be willing to know that for a holy relationship to be holy, or to be, I guess, in business terms, to be a healthy relationship, satisfactory relationship, be willing to do the work with your partner, to space the triggers, to grow together, to shift together. That's it. It's like the whole call for me, it's been interview repeating the same thing in different words. It's just alignment, shifting, radical responsibility, letting go, trusting, being willing to change and upgrade, clear communication, patience. That's it. And knowing that your partner is not the same person it was an hour ago.
Yeah, constantly being open-minded to their evolution.
Yes.
Being able to see their evolution as well, which can be difficult when you see the person every day. But if you have an open mind, you can do it. Mm. Lit. Or you could just like sweep everything under the rug and try to find an enlightened avatar that you could enter a relationship with and hope that their field alone through osmosis will convert all of your distortions into perfection. Yeah, maybe. Well, this has been great. I feel like we talked about a lot. It was all over the place, but this was cool. Anything else that you feel like we should talk about with regards to relationship?
Just
I
to
think you,
focus on the essence of the interview. It's not what we have said. It's just to see how our energies dance together. And it's kind of funny, and that's the flow. If both energies can dance together, even if you have different perceptions on things, that's a yes. Soul connection.
amazing. I feel like yes. One last point that just came to my mind. We already kind of talked about this, but what is your opinion on like people that have the belief that what is your opinion on marriage and swearing the oath of until death do us apart and like signing the contract? Like what's your opinion on that?
That's for me, it's just that worldly concept. It's just due to fear of loss, fear of death, fear of insecurity, then you want to lock into the person. That stems out as a fear. For a holy relationship or a healthy relationship, just allow the person to be with you in that moment and set them free. As long as it's in alignment with each other's evolution, that's beautiful. But set the person free. If you want to marry, no, nothing wrong with that. But in my point of view, that's just insecurity or wanting to hold on to someone. It's beautiful to do it like as a game, playing a game, like, hey, as the symbol and
Yeah,
cute and
getting married.
the pictures. Yeah. But not for the concept of I own you, because then it's just
Right.
let the person be their own person, free will, and just share from that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the ownership of like you are now mine, I am yours.
Yeah.
The ring goes on the finger, and until death do us apart. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. It's like
It's more like until you're not fulfilling your soul,
until alignment is
calling, until that, yeah, or until you do something that triggers something in me and I cannot deal with it and I cannot feel it, then I will blame you and leave you because I'm not willing to deal with my own things. Yeah, it's just ownership, responsibility.
I just thought of a potential line that if we ever got married could be utilized until it's not meant to be and until it is meant to be again. And then the cycle repeats. It's good.
Wow, I love it. Oh,
I think that's more or less how it should be. It's like we've joked about this a lot. I'm with you forever in the now for as long as I feel it's relevant, and likewise to you. Good joke.
In this now moment.
Yeah.
Will you love me forever? Right now, I love you.
Right now. Well, right now. Forever is a concept in this now moment.
Yeah.
There is no, there's no future.
But hey, if there's unconditional love, it would always shift into something else, as it did with us. So there's no fear. That's it.
I feel like that's like the breaking point in the relationship is if both people can get into unconditional love, is just legendary. You kind of reach this like level where it's just 99% uptime.
Love how you do it with percentage. 99% uptime. I'm like, well, flowing with high frequency.
Do you know what the uptime thing is? Like the reference that's to? It's to like, you can search like, is Facebook down?
Yeah.
and it'll tell you like uptime over the last like year or whatever. Like today, uptime is 100%. And yeah, so like if Facebook goes down, it crashes. That's the reference.
I just thought a relationship is a shard, and like the more high frequency, it's like, and then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
trigger, high frequency, trigger. And that's if it's like peace.
Yeah.
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 So cool.
50% downtime, just leave. It's not worth it. You're not above it's destructive of humanity if it's below 50%, you know?
Have you seen, you guys are the ones that are watching the hot crazy scale of How I Met Your Mother, Barney? That's so funny.
Yeah, the hot crazy scale is hilarious.
She's hot and this crazy, it's okay. But if she's this hot and this crazy, it's not.
That's also really funny. Yeah, I guess that's kind of how it works. Amazing. This is beautiful. I really like this. We should do like specific shorter videos on certain topics and stay really laser focused on the topic. I think the one of like mirrors, how your partner is just a mirror, that's like a great title.
Yes. Or are we done? Like this is not like gonna go on the video?
No, this is gonna go on the video. We're still this isn't like a typical video. I'll just keep rolling and post the whole thing without much edits, just beginning and ending, and that's it. But how your partner is your mirror, that one's good. And then there was like a couple other, but I forgot.
Why radical responsibility is important. How to know when you're triggered, like heal through your partner, improve your business through your partner. Everything can improve through your partner. It's just God or consciousness.
I found of an Eckhart Tolle title.
Yeah, which one?
The Power of Triggers.
Yes.
Lit, right? Good title.
The Power of Triggers. Yes.
That'd be a whole book. You could write the book, The Power of Triggers. And then I could get Eckhart Tolle to forward it. That would be hilarious if he like by Eckhart Tolle, best-selling author of The Power of Now. Right? Be good. You'd be paying me. I'm gonna send you my PayPal link for all these ideas.
I'll send you my PayPal link.
All right, let's wrap this up. This was beautiful. Where can people go and see your channel, Nicky Ortega? Nicky
Ortega, Instagram Nicky Ortega, Facebook Nicky Ortega, Instagram All Being Consciousness.
Nicky Ortega. Ortega. Cool. Lit. This was beautiful. And appreciate everybody watching. We will respond to comments.
Thank you for being here.
Want to come in my screen for the end?
Let's do it.
Oh, here it is. It's real. We were truly rooms apart.
Yes.
All right. Much love, everybody. This was great. Hopefully you enjoyed this.